In 2026, a majority of the European Parliament voted against scanning your private messages, and it happened anyway. 314 members voted to kill a mass scanning law, 276 voted to keep it. The side that wanted to stop it had more votes, and it still lost on a technicality. The rules that let platforms scan your messages are locked in until 2028. This is the fight over what's called chat control. And if you run communication tools for a business, this is about the encryption you depend on. Here's what actually happened and what it means for your stack. There are two things both nicknamed chat control, and they're easy to confuse. The first is a temporary rule from 2021. It lets messaging services and email providers voluntarily scan for known child sexual abuse material. It permits scanning. It doesn't force it. That's the rule that got extended to April 2028. Here's the part that made headlines. On the 9th of July 2026, Parliament tried to block that extension. More members voted to block it than to keep it. 314 against, 276 in favor. But under the rules, rejecting a law at that stage needs an absolute majority. 361 votes. The opponents fell about 50 short. So, a law that most voting members opposed survived. A former member of Parliament, Patrick Breyer, called it a result that runs against the will of the majority. The second bigger thing is the permanent version, the Child Sexual Abuse Regulation, first proposed in 2022 by Ylva Johansson. This one is far more aggressive. It would create what are called detection orders. Legal orders that can compel a platform to scan private messages, not just match known images, but run AI classifiers to flag content nobody has ever seen before and scan text to detect grooming. And here's where it collides with encryption. To comply, you'd need to inspect the message on the user's phone before it gets encrypted. That's client-side scanning. It's a scanner sitting inside the app on your device checking your messages before they're sealed. That permanent regulation is still stuck, but it hasn't gone away. You might be thinking, I'm not a European lawmaker, and I'm not running a chat app. Why does this land on my desk? Start with the core technical problem. A client-side scanner is a mandated vulnerability. You are building a system whose job is to inspect content before it's encrypted. That is a backdoor by another name. And a backdoor doesn't care who built it. Once the capability exists, it's an attack surface for anyone. Security people have said this for decades. You cannot build a hole that only the good guys can use. It's still true. Second, this changes how you think about encryption as a dependency. Many treat end-to-end encrypted as a permanent property. It isn't. It's a business decision. In May 2026, Meta removed the end-to-end encryption option from Instagram direct messages. Overnight, a channel people thought was private became readable by Meta. If your organization relies on a tool's encryption for internal comms or client data, that protection is only as durable as the vendor's roadmap. Third, voluntary scanning is not hypothetical and it's not clean. The big US services already do it, and the results are messier than you'd hope. In Germany, the Federal Criminal Police reported that in 2024, nearly half of the 205,000 reports they received were not criminally relevant. Automated scanning at scale produces an enormous volume of false hits that humans then have to sort through. The base rate problem doesn't disappear. Fourth, this is a fragmentation problem. The EU is going one way, the US brought in its own law in 2026. Different regions, different rules. Signal's president, Meredith Whittaker, said Signal would leave the European market rather than weaken its encryption. Encryption is for everyone, or it's broken for everyone. If a tool your teams rely on pulls out of a region to protect its encryption, that's a vendor availability problem you have to plan for. This isn't only a European story. Australia has industry standards requiring abuse material tackling and the 2018 Assistance and Access Act for encrypted access. The pattern, we're not banning encryption, we just need a way in, is a global one. You're now tracking 4 different regimes pulling in different directions. So what do you actually do with this? Here are a few concrete things for your security and IT strategy. 1. Inventory your communication tools and mark which are genuinely end-to-end encrypted versus just encrypted in transit. The difference is critical. 2. Treat encryption as a vendor dependency, not a guarantee. Ask what happens if a provider changes its model or exits a market. Have a fallback. 3. Whenever someone proposes a scanning capability, ask the security question first. Who else can reach this? A scanner built for one is infrastructure for others. And 4. Keep an eye on the permanent regulation. The mandatory version with detection orders is only paused, not dead. It's the one that really changes privacy. The uncomfortable truth: you can't have a private channel that's also readable on demand. It's one or the other. Every proposal otherwise is just a choice of what to give up. That's Darumatic. We cover AI and IT practically. If that's useful, like and subscribe. It helps us reach more IT pros. See you next time.